On this episode of the Who Is This podcast, we get to know Kay Ekvall. Kay has only lived in the Gila Valley for the last 5 years, so we have a great time getting a unique perspective of what it's like moving to the Gila Valley rather than growing up here. She tells us how she came from the farm life in Minnesota to working for the Graham County Chamber of Commerce and volunteering with the Graham County Search and Rescue. We also talk about what's going on at this year's Safford Spring Festival, which takes place this weekend, April 26th and 27th at Safford City Hall. All right, so welcome to the Who Is This podcast.
Thanks for having me. Super excited.
We're super excited to have you. I was telling you a little bit about kind of what the podcast is and what we're doing. You're our first guest, honestly. So
Yay.
you should feel honored.
I am so honored. You have no idea.
Awesome. Yeah, me and Davis did one together. Just kind of a warm up, I guess,
okay.
And just so people can get to know us, and we have a story too, that we like to tell. But that's what this whole thing is about, is just talking about you and your story, who you are, where you came from, and just anything that you'd like to share with us. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll just see where we go.
All right. Well, I'm Kay Ekvall, also known Christine Ekvall is my real name. So I'm new to the valley. 5 years is new, of course.
Mm-hmm. For this valley, it really is.
Yeah,
Most people are here.
I'm a baby.
Generation,
I don't even.
generation,
I don't even count. But that's okay. So I've been here for 5 years. Worked at the Chamber of Commerce, which is great because I've met so many people, and there are so many really great people in this valley.
Yeah.
So this is like a great idea.
So where are you from? Because that's what I want to talk about, is
Right.
the difference of where you came from. Because Gila Valley, it's its own.
Yes.
It's its own monster, and we all love it here. But I'm super excited to get I don't want to call you an outsider,
Yes.
but someone that's new, your perspective on this valley.
Well, I'm actually from Minnesota. So I was born in California, moved to Minnesota when I was 7, grew up on a farm, just worked hard all my life, never went to college, never went to school.
What kind of farm?
Chicken farm, 28,000 chickens.
20,000?
28,000.
Wow, so a big farm.
It
sounds big.
It was big back then, now it's nothing. Because
Okay.
it was back before they had automation and you had to literally pick eggs for 28,000 chickens every
Wow.
day. Yeah.
So, okay, I want to know more about that. Was it all family?
It was all family, and so my mom and my dad, brother, sister, dogs, cats.
You didn't have any other employees,
No.
helping pick up all those eggs?
No, I'm old school where you had kids to work. That's what they're for.
Sorry, was it like chickens for meat or chickens for eggs?
For
or
eggs.
both? Or, okay.
So it's like a 200-foot barn.
Yeah.
And you look down this barn and there's 3 levels.
Wow.
So I was the baby of the family, so I pick all the bottom eggs.
Yeah.
And my brother's middle, pick all the middle, and my sister pick all the top.
That's
and
awesome.
it took hours and hours,
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
then you'd have to clean the barn. And the worst story ever was I came home from Girl Scouts one day. And Minnesota, it's hot. I mean, it's different hot. This is my dad's from, moved to Arizona, it's dry heat. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a dry heat. And you're like, yeah, but it's 100 and something degrees. Well, in Minnesota, it's a very humid,
Yeah.
horrible, wet heat. So I get home from Girl Scouts and 10,000 chickens died. Because in one day I get home, all the fans are off, the electricity was off, my parents were gone. I'm just a little girl.
And you were the one that found them.
And I go in there and I'm like, what do you do? So I'm opening all the vents, which of course,
Oh my gosh.
hindsight, if you open all the vents, you wreck the flow. And because they have these big 8-foot fans that kind of draw the air through. And yeah, it was
10,000.
10,000 chickens
Not
dead.
quite half, but
Yeah.
a big, yikes.
It was a nightmare. Yeah.
So, what were you able to salvage it, turn it into a meat chicken?
No. Layer
You can eat those
chickens.
ones, I think.
Yeah,
You
layer
touch them,
chickens
too.
are very different. I think
Okay.
layer chickens, once they go through the whole process, go
Uh-huh.
to Campbell's soup,
Yeah.
and they
So it was just
yeah.
total loss.
Yeah, pieces are pieces. Yeah, it was
Oh
not a
my
good day.
gosh.
So I'm from Minnesota. I did raise my kids in St. Paul, Minneapolis area. I have 2
Okay.
kids, both adults.
Where are they at now?
So my daughter is in Minnesota, and she's a massage therapist. She's awesome. And then my son, he lives actually in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, and he's a musician and songwriter, and
Okay.
yeah, so very creative
That's super
person.
cool.
Yeah.
Does he have, can we find his music anywhere if
You
we wanted
could.
to?
He's called Rat King, and his music is very different. He actually did a really cool video here, like last year. It's called Dry Heat, and he videotaped it everywhere, and he made a music video.
Here in town.
Yeah, it
Oh,
has a
right.
story of somebody that goes to a party. He, drinks a little bit too much, wanders out into the desert, and ultimately he dies of hypothermia. Because, like, who knew you could do that in
Yeah.
the desert, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
I'll
Rat
send you the
King.
link.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
pretty
Sounds
crazy.
That'll be.
And you can be like, oh, I know that
Yeah.
place. Oh, I know that place. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll throw
Put
it
it
on
on the thumbnail.
Yeah, we'll throw it on the thumbnail.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Well, so cool. How old are they?
My daughter is 25, 26.
Gotcha.
So
Has she
they're-
been here to visit?
Yep, they come here a couple of times a year, and they
Awesome.
love it here. I mean, they don't want to move here, but
Right.
Yeah.
which is fun.
Understandable.
Which is very hard because in this county, you have so many families that have all these generations, and my kids are spread out. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of exciting because they are living their own lives, like 100% their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a love-hate.
I think that's kind of a unique thing about this valley is a lot of families, they grow up here, they stay here. Because my wife is from Dallas or Texas,
Right.
all over Texas really. And her family, she has 3 brothers. One of them is in Washington, one of them is in California, one of them's in New York, and her mom's in Texas. So
Right.
she's in Arizona. So they're all over the place.
Yeah.
I come from 7 brothers and sisters, and we're all within like 2 hours of each other.
Right.
So it's yeah.
Same with me. I'm the youngest of 6, and everybody lives in the Gila Valley except for my brother, who's in Santan, like
Yeah.
2 hours away.
Right.
So we stay in Arizona. That's just where we're
It's
at.
very different, right?
Yeah.
I sometimes it's like, oh, I really wish I had a close family like that. But then you look at like all the time commitment and all.
Yes.
I'm like, I am good because it's like you guys have schedules and you have birthday parties and
Yep.
weddings
I
and
literally have one today.
Every
Oh,
single
really?
weekend there's a birthday
Yeah,
party.
Yeah.
my nephew's 3rd birthday is today, and all of my family's getting together at my sister's house, and we're gonna go hang out.
oh,
and
it's so sweet.
yeah,
I love it.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it is, I think we are unique in that aspect as far as just I know I didn't venture out very far. The furthest, obviously I lived in Mexico for when I was on my mission, but other than that, I lived in
Right.
Phoenix while I was going to school. Lived in Tucson for a few months, and then was back here.
Well, I love this place because this is what I call my hallmark town.
Mhm.
So this town is literally like a Lifetime movie. You come and, someday my kids or if I have grandkids, they can come and, go to Mary Main Street. And like
Right.
they literally make a snow hill in
Yeah.
the middle of it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I love this little small hallmark town. It's super fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So did you come here for the Chamber of Commerce position or tell us
Well,
about that?
truth be told, I was in Minnesota, got out of a bad relationship, I'm very honest. And I literally sold everything. I was an empty nester, my kids were gone, and I sold everything.
Just like point to the map, or
Well, my dad lived in Bullhead City,
Okay.
and so we were visiting him, and I had a van, and I'm a face painter.
uh-huh.
I was just gonna travel the country and face paint and
Yeah.
whatever. And so I got to Bullhead City, and I ended up getting a job at Don Laughlin's Riverside Casino,
Okay.
and just kind of settled in there, and met my now husband, who works for UPS.
Okay.
And so that's what brought us to Safford. So we were dating at the time, and he's like, hey, I have this opportunity in Safford. Do you want to go check it out? And I'm like, why not? And we drive out here from Bullhead City, which is like an 8-hour
Yeah,
drive.
it's way out there.
And, you're driving, and I'm new to Arizona. So I'm still so new that everything is just brown
Yeah.
and sad. Like, because you're in Minnesota, and everything's so vibrant
Right.
and alive, and you
Right.
get to Arizona, and it's like, everything is dead.
Right.
And it's so sad. So we get out here, and then you get here, and it's like the 90s. And I love it because it's it's such a great time period, and
Yeah.
the people are still friendly, and so I
Well,
loved it immediately.
explain to me what you mean by it's the 90s.
It's the 90s.
The Gila
like,
Valley's behind
Yeah,
all
we're
everything.
20 years
We're
behind.
20
I know.
Yeah.
you
30
think it's
years
a bad
behind.
thing,
Right.
but for me, it's just like, you know, people like today, we're walking down the street and it's like, hey, Joe, hey, Billy, and like, you know, everybody, and everybody says hi to each other, and it was sweet. And so that's how I got here. So we decided to move here.
So I want to hear first impression of Safford or Thatcher, you know, that day, you literally came that day to check out the town to see if you wanted to make the move for his job.
Yep, and we were here like a week later, and like I said, I was a face painter. So I immediately went to the chamber, because that's what you do when you're in that kind of business. And and I met Vance and Brianna Morse at the time, and I was like, hey, I'm a face painter. Do you have any events coming up? And that weekend, they had their first block party. Okay. This was 5 years ago. Yeah. And they're like, our face painter bailed. And so I face painted that day and that weekend. And then I came back to the chamber, because I'm also the type that, like, you just get in the room, right? So I said, I'm not really working, but if you have volunteer opportunity, I would love to volunteer. And that's when the museum was in the chamber. And they gave me a sledgehammer and safety glasses. And I just demolished the whole thing. So I'm sorry if that's personal, but that's what happened. That's what I did.
Don't blame her. She had no background. She just they gave you a hammer.
And it was great. They gave me a hammer. And like within the month, they hired me. So it all worked out. Awesome. Just, you got to get in the room.
If that's not fate, I don't know what is.
Right.
The face painter bailed, and a month later, you got a job.
How often does a face painter walk in saying,
like that's I know, they're awesome. All like, and actually at the chamber, we live in like a vortex of something, because so many times it's like, oh, I wish we had this or whatever. And next thing you know, it's like, it's literally a video game. Like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I do this. And you're like,
we unlocked a new level.
Yeah. It's very cool.
That's awesome. So where's your now husband? Where's he from originally?
He's from Marshalltown, Iowa.
Okay.
So he's been with UPS for, I don't know, 20-something years, but he was in Bullhead City for 14 years before I met him.
Gotcha. So he's been in Arizona for
so
a while.
He loves it. And of course now, once you are here for a while, everything's still brown, but it's like 50 shades of brown. You know, like there's so many wonderful colors and the clouds and the sky and the mountain ground is like so amazing.
Yeah. I think too, like sometimes because it's brown year round, when things do spring up, like we've got poppies right now, it's like, oh, this is awesome, it's poppy season. Or it's, you know, you go towards Gila Box and there's wildflowers that pop up. Oh, this is amazing. So it gives you more of an appreciation for
for sure. And I love the snow. Being from Minnesota, where you have to scrape your windows and shovel, and never again. I'll send pictures to my kids, like the mountain with all the snow, and it's like you can drive up and then you can come back down.
Get out of it.
I love it so much.
I've never experienced real snow like that. Like having to. I mean, my scraping windows is getting a cup of water and pouring it, and then it clears up, and then I'm good to go. You know, I've never lived in Utah. I mean, you probably dealt with that a little bit when you were going to school, but I've never experienced.
Where the whole car freezes over with like a quarter-inch ice, and you're like,
or you're late for class, so you scrape off like
just enough, just like a telescope. It's great.
Yeah, I've never had to experience that, and I'm okay with that. I like the desert. I remember I lived in, again, for a very short amount of time, I lived in Austin, Texas for a little bit, doing summer sales, and just being there for a little bit of time. I remember specifically, I took a Greyhound back, and Chase Elkins picked me up in Wilcox when I got home, because my family didn't know I was coming back. Anyways, I remember riding the Greyhound and just remembering, I remember like, man, I miss, even though I wasn't gone for that long, I miss seeing these mountains, and I love the hills, and I love the desert.
Well, my dad lived out here 20 years before I did, and he would always be like, oh, you know, Arizona is so beautiful, you see forever. And it's like, what do you mean, right? Well, in Minnesota, when you're driving down the road, you see trees everywhere. Right. And it wasn't until I moved here that I realized that you just see forever. And as the day changes and the clouds move, the scenery changes, and it's just constant. And he was so right. It only took, 20 years to get me here, but
Minnesota, as far as like the topography? Is it not a lot of mountains, or there is a lot of mountains?
Not really. There's obviously a lot of lakes, but
Right,
you know, if you go up to northern Minnesota, there's the Iron Range and there's mountains, but not huge mountains like Mount Graham.
Yeah, I have never been, but my aunt lived there for a long time, so my family would go visit them, but I never got to go.
Yeah, lots of fields, lots of farms.
My younger sister got to go all the time, but I never got to go.
Aw.
But,
It's a great place to be from. Far, far from.
Yeah.
You should be offended. Because in my family, so my older siblings are all, they get mad because me and Bethany, we're the youngest.
Yeah.
We got to go on way more vacations than anybody else. But I mean, you're the second youngest. Why didn't you get to go?
I don't know.
What happened? That's how it works. I'm the baby in my family too, and I gotta do a lot more than my siblings for sure.
Yeah, I just, the baby was loved more than me, I suppose.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
The baby is the best.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what exactly is your role with the chamber now? You started as a volunteer, and I know that you've kind of
I started volunteer, and then I went crazy with tourism because it's, you know, when I moved here, it was so brand new, and it's like a different planet every 20 minutes. You know, you have red knolls, and you have hot wall dunes, and you have the mountain, and you have the Gila box, and then we found out there are people here that have never been, and you're like, how can you live here for 6 generations and never been to the Gila box?
Speaking of red knolls, that's where my first date was with my wife.
Aww.
We went on a 4-wheeler ride out at the red knolls.
How romantic.
It was late at night and probably pretty dangerous, but we had a lot of fun.
You are.
We, funny that you say that, because I went into the chamber a few months ago and Vance said something about this place, and I was like, I've lived here for more than 30 years and I've never heard of this place. So I want to say it was like somewhere in Morenci or something.
There's all kinds.
Yeah, there's so many things, like places even here, Southeasterners that I've never even been. So it's funny that you say that, because I'm one of those people that have lived here forever, and there's places that I haven't even explored.
Right. And then I joined Search and Rescue because I started getting guilty. Like, I'm sending all these people out. You have all these people come from Tucson or Phoenix. And I'm like, yeah, go out there. You can do it. It's so much fun. And then I'm joining Search and Rescue like, you're going to die.
Be careful.
You're really going to die. And so then I pulled back the reins. And so now it's like, oh, so, you know, this is what you do. You're going to go out there, but make sure you bring water. Yeah. And I go through there, and they're all like, you're crazy tourist lady. So I kind of went overboard on that side. And so then I ended up, now I work with members. So my job, I'm the community liaison, and I just get a love on people and their businesses. I love to make connections. Like, you hear this conversation and you're like, oh, I know someone like that. So I'm kind of that person in a video game that's like, oh, hi, I'm Kay. I'm here to connect you to.
Yeah. You're like the information person.
I am. I love it.
Okay.
I just walk in, do my job, and then I exit. It's great.
The fact totem.
Yeah, there's a word.
I'm a fact totem.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. So yeah, that's what I do at the chamber.
That's awesome. I remember. Yeah, so you've been at because you were part-time, and then you've been full-time now for the last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, I think I'm supposed to still be part-time, but I am full-time. Oh yeah, because you know, just it's like the more you do, the more you have to do.
Well,
but it's so much fun.
You and Vance do so much too. Like it's you know all the events that go on. I mean, it's very obvious you and Vance are the backbone of all of it. I mean, you're putting everything together. You're finding the vendors. You're you know, I'm on the board, and I attend the meeting every month, and I volunteer when I can. But I mean, and I should probably be more active than I am. But
well, that being said, I just have to say Chelsea is new to the team, and she is such a godsend, because Vance and I are like, let's do this. Yeah, let's do this. Oh, big dreamers. I can see it in lights. We're all excited. And Chelsea would be like, it's not in the budget. We need a plan. Let's, you know, get statistics on it. And so she has just been such a blessing, because she'll just snub things out, and we'll, you know, hindsight be like, thank you so much, because that was like really crazy.
Yeah.
I even had my son write me a theme song.
Oh, really?
It's called Ideas Have Consequence.
That's awesome.
And I play it every day, like, just a reminder, if you have an idea, there's going to be work. So make good choices.
That's awesome. I'm excited to look up his music.
Yeah.
So it's the Rat King.
Yes.
That's how I could, if I find Theo Vaughn too.
Yeah.
But do you know who Theo Vaughn is?
No.
He's a comedian. He's funny, but he calls himself the Rat King. But which maybe that's good marketing on your son's part. You know?
Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
there was somebody before him too.
yeah,
But yeah, it's
that's
interesting.
awesome. Is he on like Instagram and stuff like
He's
that?
on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His music's some of it's kind of out there, just kind of running. There
I-
may or may not be swearing, just so you know.
That's all right. That's yeah. I feel like
But he's deep because actually he is from St. Paul, Minneapolis area, and it was during all the riots and the burning of the
Oh, yeah.
town. So he lived there,
Right.
wow.
and so a lot of his music deals with a lot of that stress of friends dying and
Really?
oh yeah.
Wow.
So
Holy cow.
a lot of it is back in those days was real rageful and it was a lot, and now he's kind of evolving into other things. I think he's healing, but he had music and that was great.
Again, another perspective of COVID. Obviously, a huge ordeal, but in the Gila Valley, we're in a little bit of a bubble. It
Right.
didn't. I mean, I'm not gonna say it didn't affect us, but there wasn't rioting. We didn't experience all of that. So that's crazy that he had friends
Yeah.
or people that he was very close with that was directly involved. What was that like for you, knowing that he lived there?
Yeah,
during all of that?
it was rough because she just and my daughter too. She just moved out of St. Paul, and
Mhm.
I'm very happy. She loves the urban life, but it's scary when it's your daughter. You're just like, oh.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I do here, and now I actually stepped down from search and rescue a little bit because I found out that I'm not as adventurous as I thought. Like snakes really scare me, and I have this little person that lives inside me that's like, yeah, let's go down that rock slide, woo! And it's not a great idea, and so I've decided that maybe I'm not the best person to go on a search because A, you're probably going to end up looking for me, and B, do I really want to find you? So I'm not that hero, and it was really embarrassing and sad to know that you're in this circle of heroes
Mm-hmm.
and you're not one of them.
Yeah.
So I've decided to go more on the grant writing and
Okay.
funding, and because without that you can't have the hero. So really, they're heroes because
Absolutely.
there's someone
you're
to help
more on the
fund them.
background.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
a
is,
background hero.
arguably, I wouldn't say more important, but definitely just as
Right.
important. I mean, if you don't do what you do, they can't do what
Right.
they do.
So
that's
yeah,
that's
so
cool.
that's been recent.
And then you don't have to worry about snakes.
It's because actually when I go out for a search, I have this neon shirt and I have these pink snake gaiters,
Uh-huh.
and I'm like the search and rescue clown. Like, I have this like kind of this cover that's like that, that's silver shiny. Because I have this phobia that I'll be the one they're looking for. So
Well, I'm sure that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna ask, how often is search and rescue called out?
Sometimes it's several times a month, and sometimes you go in a long
Time of
span.
year.
So you
Yeah.
just don't know, and that's what's hard about it is you train hoping you never get called out,
Right, yeah.
but you still have to be prepared, and
Right.
so you have equipment that you may never use, but you
Right.
still need to update it, and you
Right.
still need to replace it, even though you've never used it, because it has to be good.
Yeah. My dad and brother, I don't think my dad does anymore. I think my brother still does.
Trey.
Yeah.
Trey's
they-
our accountant.
Yeah.
So.
That's all he knows how to do is freaking account.
Which is good
That's
because
all
I'm
it does.
like, I'm letting you know I'll do grants, but I'm like, I don't want to do all the I don't want to. I'll get the grant,
Mhm.
but Trey and those people can do all the
Yeah.
make sure you're doing the right stuff.
Yeah.
That's I'm the story.
All
You're the accountability.
Trey does is accounts and then puts together lottery pools on
I was gonna
Facebook.
say, yeah.
No, just joking.
He has value.
One day Trey's gonna win me millions of
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm gonna be in that too.
Or I'm just gonna spend
yeah, or
hundreds
I'll-
of dollars.
yeah. But no, he's actually he's really good at what he does. So that's
Right.
cool that he's again. And I know he goes on the searches too, but that's cool that he has a job in the
Right.
background too to help facilitate all of that. I'm sure you're probably search and rescue is probably getting into the more busy season because it's
Yeah.
warming up and people are starting to go out.
Yep,
and
starting to get
stuff
the
and-
flash floods and
Yeah.
whatnot.
It's you mentioned snakes. That's another interesting thing. Depending on where you grow up, what you worry about, because our corporate office is in Montana, and so when we go up there, I'll talk to people that are from Montana. And when I go to Montana, I'm like, grizzly bears, right? Like, and their concern is like, aren't you guys afraid of rattlesnakes? And I'm like, I mean, I don't want to get bit, but I'm not concerned about rattlesnakes. Like it is what it is. I would much rather die by rattlesnake than by grizzly bear. Right? Like how? Like they're like, oh no, bears are nothing. Like it's a freaking grizzly bear. How are you like?
I don't know. That's a toss up. Like today.
See, like that blows my mind.
So I'm scrolling. I'm in a meeting with Vance and Chelsea, paying attention obviously, and I'm scrolling, checking my Facebook post, and all of a sudden there's a rattlesnake crawling up a tree, like, and they're like, be careful where you put your hand, and I'm like, they go up trees.
Oh, they swim. I mean, they're. Okay, so here's a crazy story. This was last summer, I think just when it started warming up, but I got home from work, it was dark already, I don't know, I got home and I could hear my dog, they do like a rattlesnake bark, right? And so I could hear it barking, I'm like, oh, there's a snake in with the dogs. So I walked back there.
Or they're like, help me.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, give us a rattlesnake bark.
No, I'm not gonna do that. But it's a distinct bark. Like they're barking at something other than just their annoying, barking at the nothing. Anyway, so I went and I listened. I could hear it rattling. Okay, there's one. So I got a shovel and killed it, and then went and took care of it. And then when I was walking to put the shovel up, I noticed that my hose was on still, like it was dripping water. And so just not thinking of anything, I walk over to the spigot and I reach down to turn off the hose, and all I saw was a rattlesnake falling. So I don't know if it was on the ground right there and struck at me, or if it was like on the hose and then like tried to slither away, but it just all of a sudden it was hitting the ground at my feet. And I was like, so this is right after I just killed the other one. So then I killed that one.
It's like, that's my brother.
So I don't know how I don't know if it struck at me or if it was just right there, but it was close to me and you to that rattlesnake. And yeah, we probably killed at my house, because we built our house in 2021, so we've been there for a couple of years. We've probably killed at least 6 or 7 rattlesnakes on our property. And then Mike McEwen has lived up on the hill there forever, and he had like a running count. He's at like 200 and something since he's been living there. But
well, my best rattlesnake story was in Minnesota. I love to walk and read. I used to waitress, and we had this dead railroad. And so on my breaks, I would just walk up and down the railroad and read, because why not? So I thought, well, I'll do that here. It's a beautiful day. And so I'm walking and I'm reading, and all of a sudden I step on a snake and I jump up and I land on it again. It was like I was climbing these imaginary snakes, and he was dead, thank God. But what if
from you stepping on it, or was
no, I
dead?
think he was already dead. But it was horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So note, don't walk and read. Be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, who knew?
But still, rattlesnake or grizzly bear? I mean, I can outrun a rattlesnake. I can't outrun a grizzly bear. As far as I can't believe that. And then people.
Did you see that movie Holes?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think of. It's like your flesh just eating away. Now, do I want it ripped off by a bear, or slowly being poisoned and rotting? I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up. I'm pretty sure the bear's going to kill you.
I don't want to get ripped up by a bear.
Yeah.
How much of it you're really going to feel,
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to find out.
I think if I've done the right research, a bear's just going to hold you down and eat you alive.
Yeah,
Right.
they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
As long as you're not moving, they're... I think I'm going to side with Isaac on this.
Yeah, the snake.
I can outrun the snake. If I get bit, I can make it to the hospital. If I get bit by a bear, I'm probably not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just not even worried about it. They're like, yeah, if you go in the woods, just make sure you have some bear spray. And I'm like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Right.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get to the airport, they have bear spray right in the airport. Yeah. That's right.
You can buy bear spray in the airport.
Yeah.
In the airport, they're like, get your bear spray. And I'm like, what?
Welcome to Montana.
Yeah.
You have this little gal walking around. Hey, what's a bear? You got bear spray?
Probably like a gag on all the tourists.
Yeah.
Better get your bear spray.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah, probably.
Well, speaking of airport purchases, we just went to Hawaii. We went to Maui for our honeymoon in October.
Oh, fun.
And we bought this little stick and we planted it, and it's getting flowers. It's the flowers that they make the leis out of.
Here at your house? Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, no
It's beautiful. yeah, so every day it just opens up just a little bit more. So that's my,
How big is it supposed to get?
like a tree.
Oh, really? That's
So-
cool.
We have the Zen room that we're gonna have with like red light therapy and whatnot, and so the goal is to plant it in there and then just kind of bonsai it where you just keep it under 7 feet.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a thing, but we're gonna try it.
How'd you get it back? Just carry on, or did you?
No,
it?
they sell it.
Oh,
It's part of, it's an airport purchase, so it's,
right. But how did you get it back to Arizona?
no, it's just a stick in a bag.
It's just
literally,
a
it's a stick. It's a stick.
Huh.
It's just this old dry stick in a bag.
And it just grows.
Yeah.
That's
Give it
cool.
water. And
It's beautiful.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll
That's
see
awesome.
what happens with that. So.
So do you still do the face painting?
No, I've been so busy at the chamber, and we have a really great face painter that is all licensed and everything out of Morenci.
Okay.
And so I usually just refer to her. I mean, I will, but I think, when I was younger and married, I face painted out of necessity because I would, have 1 or 2 jobs and kids. And if we wanted to do anything, I would face paint at festivals. And then we could take that money
That's
and
like your play money.
It was our play money. And then as they grew up, my daughter face painted, my son would do tattoos, airbrush tattoos.
Okay.
And then they learned that if they work, they could make money and then they can blow the money on whatever they wanted. And so it was just a kind of a family business, but I don't really need to anymore. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of letting it go. I just actually called the city of Safford and was like, dissolve that business, baby. Mama's free.
I would have never guessed of all the occupations that would need a license, face painting. I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
But I would have never guessed you would need the license to do face painting. Face painting. But
Well, you gotta,
there's a lot of hygiene involved.
Right.
And,
So it's not that kind of business. It's just for the city of Safford kind
Just
of
to actually
license,
have a
right?
business in the
So you don't have to go to cosmetology.
Okay. I was thinking, well, that's what I was thinking. I was
No.
like, oh, do you have to?
No, but actually the
What
Gala,
classes do you
the
have
Gala
to
Morenci, you can go to like conventions and there's so much to learn, and the more you learn, the more you know you don't know anything and
Right.
the different products and black light painting is really fun. And
It's amazing all the different types of conventions there are that you don't realize.
I'm going to SARCon in May. I can't wait.
SARCon.
Search and Rescue Convention. It's a 4-day.
Which
you
is
get
a huge event, I'm sure.
Oh, it's huge. It's super. It's up in Heber, which is like a whole new. Like before I moved to Arizona, I imagined it just being a desert, like desolate and sad and dead. And then you get here, and it's like everything you ever wanted in the entire world is in the state.
Yeah.
Like you have the mountains, and you have the rivers, and you have the.
It really is.
It is so great. I
love Arizona.
It is great.
But yeah, when I used to work for the town of Thatcher, and they on the concrete crew, and Tommy would always talk about like a concrete convention that he got to go to, which was super fun. So like we were all like, I want to go to that, and I never got to go, but I think that they did take the crew a couple of years ago, but I wasn't on it at that point. But there's concrete convention.
We had conventions for the chickens.
Chicken
Chicken convention. You would get all this swag. It was great.
Yeah, Derek Bailey owns R&R Pizza, and I was talking to him the other day, and he was like, I don't know if he said he just got back or whatever. He was at a pizza convention.
Oh, fun.
There's all kinds of.
There's Crypticon.
You name it.
There's a horror convention.
Yeah, they're usually
That's
all in
so fun.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Which is.
Yeah, we have our
a good
Fan
time.
Fest here. That's a convention. That's
Yeah,
super fun.
That's
For
true.
what?
Fan Fest. It's like comic books and
Oh, that's right.
That's a pretty big event. Isn't it?
Cosplay,
Isn't there a pretty good turnout? For
Yeah.
that? I've never been to it, but
it's fun.
When is that? Who throws that? Is it the chamber?
David Bell.
Okay, David does that.
David
okay.
does, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
they're contemplating, I think, this year, and I hope they do because I have my costume ready to go. Like,
Yeah. What's your costume? Or is it a secret?
I'm going to be Dazzler. She has roller skates. So
Are you gonna actually have the roller
I
skates
have,
on your feet?
yeah.
I haven't dressed myself.
That is the part of search and rescue that I don't do because, of course, I'm going to put roller skates on. Crazy.
What is?
I don't know.
Sure.
All I know is she has roller skates
Oh, like
and face
did you
paint.
create
That's all I
this
know.
character?
No, apparently, actually, David Bell told me about it.
Okay. Gotcha.
Because I told him I had roller skates and I'm a face painter. He's like, oh, you should be the Dazzler. So I don't even know if she's a hero or anti-hero.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Huh.
We'll see what happens.
But yeah, that I've seen that has a pretty good turnout. So hopefully
Yeah.
they do it. I'm sure there'd be a lot of people disappointed.
Yeah,
if he does
it's fun, and the creativity there is just amazing.
Uh-huh.
The vendors are very different. It's not like going to Safford Spring Festival or
Right.
Salsa Fest. The vendors are a lot of homemade, just very interesting gadgets and whatnot.
That's cool. That's another thing in this valley. Not only like places like in the wilderness that I don't know about, but I think growing up there's been a lot of events that I never really participated into. I think for whatever reason I don't know what it is, but like the Spring Festival and Salsa Fest, just the most. I was never involved in that until Mortgage,
right?
But like as just a citizen or whatever, I never went to stuff like that. Like I don't know why, but I feel like it's catching on though.
What I didn't realize is I grew up in a small town farmer. My parents weren't involved in anything, so I didn't realize how many people are in rooms doing things, like all the committees and the downtown association, and even the cities and towns and the county and the boards. And I didn't realize how much it took to orchestrate everything that goes on. And so that's really been interesting to me, and I think it'd be really fun to go to middle schools and high schools and talk to these kids about what happens and have them coming to these different places to visit, because I don't know, I came from a small town, and unless you are raised by parents involved, you're probably not going to know it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're really missing out. Like, how would my life changed knowing what I know now? Would I have been more involved? Could I have been part of the change I wanted to see?
Right.
And not even knowing that was a possibility.
Right.
I think that's something that is pretty cool about the chamber right now, because you have Kay, who is not from the Gila Valley, and Vance, who's lived here forever, but has gone out and done. We're gonna have Vance on soon, so we'll get his story. But he was in Washington D.C. learning how to become a better organizer of these types of events. So I think it's a really cool dynamic that you have.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Chamber. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Very different perspectives. We argued a lot the first 3 years. Not that you argue with your boss, but you do. And just different perspectives.
What was your main point of disagreement? Is there like a specific issue that
so
you guys just
many.
really?
No, I just he.
You know what? That's good though.
It is good.
You want to have two different views. As long as you can communicate with each other and get past those things, it's good to have someone that has a completely different perspective.
And I think that's what we've grown a lot is because I come in with no idea of anything that's going on, but I'm still going to give my 2 cents because that's who I am. And the Vance coming from, DC and coming from education and generational, things like that. And me being like, well, what about this or what about this? And he'll be like, this is how, we do it. And it's like, well, why don't we do it this way? And so we kind of work around it. And Brittany from the Boys and Girls Club, another great guest person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She was working with us, and she would just tennis court, watch us debate whatever we're going to debate, and then eventually he'd just come around anyway. But this is my story, so that's how I can say it. Eventually he came around.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So what I know right now the big event coming up is the Safford Spring Festival, which we need to make sure we post this podcast before that.
Yeah.
That's on April 26th and 27th,
yes,
I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, we've just been really trying to do new things, which is something, probably one of the things Vance and I argue most about is I love to just try new things. Let's see what happens. And they're more like, let's have a plan. It's like, well, how about I just do it and see what happens, and then you can plan after that. And so part of this is we have activities. So you have businesses that maybe they have the money, but they don't really have the time. They don't have the time to be at the booths for 2 days. But then you have this new business or this nonprofit that's like, yeah, we would love to sit there and kind of share what we have and represent both companies. And so I put together, one with the other to form different activities for the kids. We have, planting little baby plants. We have 1,000 plants coming from Olson's greenhouse, and rock painting, and
Face painting going to be there?
actually she's not coming.
Bummer.
And it's so funny because for the last 25 years I wanted to build a face painting business, right? And now I'm in like the perfect position, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do it.
Different
So,
priorities. Yeah.
It's so funny how that works out. But yeah, so that's really exciting. We have a new VIP lounge sponsored by United Way of Greenland County, and that's a 20 by 40 foot tent exclusively for our VIPs. And we just have a lot of fun goodies.
How do you become a VIP? Like, what is that?
It's a $1,000 or more sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
or you can pay $250, and you get, we have these charcuterie boards that are going to be branded. Super excited about that. Wine tumblers, charcuterie. We have some massage therapists coming in. We have wine glass jewelry. And the best part, because like when I said I used to work at the casino, I would work out with a pool, and you'd rent this gazebo for whatever, $250 an hour to get away from, the normal people. And so basically,
get away from the
yes.
Yeah.
So this is your opportunity to be in this beautifully decorated, Jars and Laces decorating it. So to be in this beautiful space, it's going to be right up front by the stage, so you can have the best view. It's going to have indoor and outdoor seating, and cool. I hope that people catch on, because I'd like to do it at all our events. Because why not? It's exciting, right?
Yeah. What musicians do? Can you give us?
I can't say anything yet. That's a Reed Richards question.
Come on, Reed. All right, that's another one that we need to have on here too.
I'm pretty sure Zaley will be involved. Zaley, and I believe Zaley has a band. Zaley Windsor Band.
She's so
I
good.
could be wrong. She's our first youth chamber member.
Oh, cool.
And so I loved it, because I told her about it, and she gets all the benefits everyone else does. And since then she went to SBDC and took Dream Builders, and she's really smart and just educating herself and meeting people and creating relationships.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing that talking about Zaley, because I think she's performed at Genevieve's, a couple of times.
Open mic on Thursdays.
That's another thing that's super cool that I've never been, but I've seen videos of it, and that's something I just don't remember to go. But that would be fun to go and watch the.
She does Genevieve's, and she also does cottage bakery for local areas.
Okay.
And then she's all over the state too.
Yeah. Have you seen that though? The open mic.
We went and saw it at Rialto. Rialto. That was really cool.
Yeah, Genevieve's does an open mic where people can go. Matt Hancock went and did stand up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like just
I saw his. I didn't know that was just an open mic.
Yeah, it's just an open.
So he just went and stood in front of a mic, and
how awesome, right? I would never have the guts. I would it'd be good too. Like it was good, but I would not have the guts to be able. And I asked my wife and my family. I think I'm the funniest person there ever was. I couldn't do it in front of people though. I know my audience, which is usually my 6-year-old and 8-year-old.
They're like,
I'm hilarious to them, but. Yeah, so that's cool that Genevieve's does that, which is another just really cool local business that is unique to our community here.
Yeah, and then with the theater opening up, so I actually worked on the theater quite a bit this last year, and the Historic Stafford Theater, and that's going to really open up.
What's the status of that?
They're hoping by the end of the year.
Okay.
But I'm excited, like, why not have community theater? I mean, that's another thing in this town is... being an outsider, is the talent here is so crazy amazing between Battle of Bands and then you have Gila Idol and then Eastern Arizona College and their plays. Every time I go, I'm just so wowed. And their plays, I'm literally thinking about 2 days later.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, that was great, and you move on. It's like, they're ones that your mind is trying to wrap around. Like, I didn't expect that from you. And B, the talent was so great. So I love being in a town where there's something to do.
And that's one thing we're blessed with is having EAC right here. Yeah. That develops a lot of activities and different events and performances and stuff that we're blessed with. It really is a unique community.
Yeah, and I heard their sports teams are like best in the country. Like, who would have thought? That's crazy.
The women's team, I think they're like a 20 seed or something, and I think they made it to the Final Four, which is awesome. Like, so crazy.
I love going to Gila Hanks, and I'm literally up to the armpit on some of these athletes, and you're like, I didn't even know they grew them this big, but they come from all over the country, all over the country. And I would love to have some of these students come volunteer at our events, because if I were to go to Spain or some other country and have the opportunity to help them with one of their events, you would remember that forever.
Well, at the Salsa Fest last year, they had the basketball teams come and help set everything up, and which was super cool. So they got to experience that, and it was a huge help setting up, because it's a lot of work. So, well, cool.
Yeah, so that's my life in a nutshell. Just living my best life. I have a 1968 trailer I got for free, and I gutted it, and it's been a 4-year process, and so now it's literally my art masterpiece that will just evolve with me. It'll never be done, but I just love it so much. So I do. I can't wait to go home and work on it. It's kind of an addiction.
What's your project on it right now?
Well, I am working on these. We went to Vail and got these big centerpiece, like for your TV entertainment. Big 5-piece thing. 1968 trailer, imagine this. But I love to repurpose things, because I'm not a builder, but I'm a recreator. And so I took 2 of those pieces, laid them down, so those are actually the tables. So I want to strip those down and kind of embellish them. Her name's Goldie, so everything is painted either gold, mahogany, or white.
That's awesome.
It's very unique.
I'd love to see some pictures.
Yeah, I have a rule that pictures, you're either invited or you're not.
It's sacred.
You have to experience it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's funny because my husband's a type A person. They're supposed to be corners. You have corners and you have lines, and for my molding, my crown moldings are made out of spray foam, and they're gold drippings on the sides of the walls. And so
that's awesome.
Either you're going to appreciate it or you're going to be like, wow, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Which, either way, it's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, that's just living my best life in Safford, Arizona.
That's super cool.
Well, I think I speak for everyone. We're glad you're here.
Yeah. Well, I am glad. This is super.
Glad you've made this home.
Good.
This is, I love it here, and I'm glad that people are finding out about it.
Yes. Not too many people.
Yeah.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
I agree, and I do think that Safford and Thatcher has grown a lot. I think it's going to keep growing, so I'm sure the day will come when I'll probably be long gone, but that small town, eventually it's, it's when you have something as big as the mine and, all the industry that provides. I feel like it's a special place, and I'm thankful to be able to live in it at the time that I am, because it is growing quite a bit, which is good. Growth is good. I'm definitely pro growth, but it will be sad when that small town feel is gone, and that probably won't be for a long time. But you think about Santan Valley and all those areas. They not too long ago they were smaller, but now it's all just one huge
cookie cutter.
Been swallowed by Phoenix.
I do love our Main Street though. The Main Street is you can't buy that.
Yeah.
That's something very unique and beautiful.
I love hearing stories that my dad will tell about. That's what they did in high school, would go and cruise Main Street.
Cruise Main, yeah.
They tell us I've heard all kinds of stories of just cruising Main, which that wasn't a thing when I was in high school. We went to Sonic.
Yeah.
We went and hung out at Sonic, but we didn't cruise Main. But I feel like life would have been a lot cooler if we did, because that just sounds, it's a simpler time and a better time.
They're looking to do cruise Main. I think John Casella that's one of his passions.
That's cool.
I think the 19th, they'll quote me, but they're doing a cruise Main Street.
Okay. Awesome.
Good.
So there you go. Awesome. Now's your chance to relive your teenage years.
Yeah, I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah, get your girl, put your arm around her, relive it.
Nissan Sentras.
They might laugh you out of it. No, just joking. It's a fine car. Nissan Sentra is a great car.
Yeah. True.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much for coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was fun getting to know you, and appreciate your time. It was a good time.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Until next time.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kay.
Thank you so much. Gucci.